Hello there, world history people. Let's learn all about some inventions today. So, the big invention of the Industrial Revolution is the steam engine. The steam engine, kids. Gotta have it. It's the best thing ever. Invented by James Watt and Thomas Newcomen. And the steam engine, it just makes everything more efficient, okay? For the entirety of world history, there were so few ways of getting around. But now, with the power of steam, anything is possible. We can move machines, we can move trains, we can move ships. It's a faster, better world once you have the steam engine. All right, boom, that's the first steam engine right there. It doesn't really look a lot like a train. But then this is the kind of industrial steam engine. And I've got this really cool video I hope to show you guys, which shows you exactly how a steam engine works. And then here's what's starting to look like a train. And yeah, it's way better. Okay, another big thing about the Industrial Revolution is we found a much more efficient way of making clothes. For so much of human history, people only owned a couple pairs of clothes. Clothes were really expensive, you had to sew them by hand. But then, James Hargreaves made this machine called the spinning jenny. And it's sort of like a fancy sewing machine, but it allowed clothing to be made 10 times faster, so much easier. Once you have a spinning jenny, now you can just mass produce clothes. And in the modern world today, people just have so many clothes. I mean, you go to like Goodwill, you basically get clothes for free. Clothes used to be a big problem. Now they're widely available. Fashion, let's get it. All right, that's what a spinning jenny looks like right there. And then there's a bunch of ladies getting all fancy. And here's men's fashion. You know, men's fashion hasn't really changed in the last like 150 years. It's kind of always the same. Okay, now let's talk about some later inventions. So we got Alessandro Volta. He invented the first battery. And Michael Faraday, he created the first electric dynamo, or a motor. It's a machine that generates electricity. And a lot of kids, I get the impression, don't really know how batteries work. And it's pretty important because you got this smartphone with you all the time and it's always running out of battery. So this is one of the first batteries. It's freaking giant. It's like the size of a chair. And it's kind of cool because batteries have a bunch of magnetic plates in them. And some of these plates have a positive charge, some have a negative charge. And it's just while the battery is active, these plates are bouncing back and forth, generating energy. And what we found is we now have specialized batteries where you can recharge them, but every time you recharge them, it always loses a little bit of its total charge. So definitely always be careful whenever you're overcharging a battery because you might kill its longevity. And this is what the first dynamo looked like. It's a machine that generates electricity. It's pretty cool stuff. So batteries, get it. And I also think it's cool we measure batteries in volts. So we named it after Alessandro Volta, an Italian dude. All right. So yep, that's what a battery looks like on the inside. Definitely never cut open a battery. It's going to be really bad. All right, and then we get Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison is a huge dude in the Industrial Revolution era. He invented 1,000 new things, but most famously, the light bulb. And so many of his inventions are based on electricity. He gave us the video camera, the sound recorder, the sound speaker. He just was a master of figuring out how electricity could be used to improve the world and just make it a more awesome, better place. So thanks, Thomas Edison. Keep moving on. All right, Henry Bessemer, he developed a process to produce stronger steel called the Bessemer Process. Here's a picture of what that looks like right here. And the thing is, we've had steel before the Industrial Revolution, but steel was really, really difficult to make. It took a lot of time and energy, and half the time the steel wasn't very good. Henry Bessemer came up with a strategy where if you blasted molten steel with air, it would always become perfect steel, and you would make steel really fast and really efficiently. So once we have this really efficient steel, we're able to build bigger buildings because all these skyscrapers have steel frames, and we can build trains and railroads and bridges. So the whole world is just improving massively as a result of this new idea. So that's the Bessemer foundry going right there. Here's another picture of it, just making molten steel, and steel's building up these fancy buildings. All right, Alfred Nobel, he invented dynamite, which is kind of the go-to explosive in the world today. And kind of an interesting historical fact, is so Alfred Nobel was this Swedish guy who actually felt really, really bad that his invention would be used to cause so much death and destruction around the world. So he founded the Nobel Peace Prize Initiative, which is still a big thing to this day. And every year his foundation gives awards to people who are doing good in the world. And I just think that's interesting that he knew his invention would do a lot of bad. It would kill a lot of people. So his legacy is now to try to make up for that. So interesting stuff, Alfred Nobel. Pretty good dude. All right, so there he is figuring out how to do dynamite. And here's people who've won his award over the last couple hundred years. Okay, Samuel Morse, he developed the telegraph. And shortly after that, Alexander Graham Bell created the telephone. And after that, Guglielmo Marconi invented the radio. So all of these inventions are huge for communication and transmitting information across electrical signals. And the telegraph is kind of cool. Here's what it originally looked like. You would tap it up and down a bunch, and it would make little beeps and boops. It's sort of like an early text message in a lot of ways. And here's the original telephone. So you could see it sort of had two parts, a talker and a receiver. And the radio just was able to send information wirelessly. So that's super duper cool. And Guglielmo Marconi thought that the wireless world would make war ridiculous. I mean, we still had wars after it, but people definitely could get their information out, even to the enemy combatants. So, all right, cool stuff. So there's Guglielmo. Okay, now these are some of the later inventions that happened toward the end of the Industrial Revolution. But Henry Ford created the first affordable car called the Model T. Henry Ford didn't invent the car. It was a bunch of people that put their ideas together over a long period of time. But ultimately, he created a car that people could actually mass afford. And the way he did it was a really cool process called the assembly line. And most of factories in history before Henry Ford had a system where one worker would put together the entire thing they were creating in the factory. So the one worker would put on the windshield and the wheels and the engine, and like this one worker had to be really knowledgeable and know every single part of what the ultimate machine would look like. But Henry Ford had this new idea. He said, I'm going to hire 100 people, and I'm just going to have, these 3 people only put on wheels. Okay, they're just going to put on wheels all day. They're going to be the wheel people. I'm going to hire these guys. They're just going to put on the windshield. They're just going to do that the whole time. And he found out it was a way to produce things really, really efficiently when you just have one person do the same action again and again and again, and just work together with the bigger group. I usually have a really cool class activity to show you guys how the assembly line works. But yeah, it's a really, really fun, awesome process. So that's the assembly line. All right. Fun fact, Henry Ford was the first dude to give his workers both Saturday and Sunday off in the hopes that it would encourage people to think of this idea of a weekend, because before Henry Ford, most people worked on Saturdays. So I think we can basically give credit to Henry Ford for giving us the concept of the weekend. That's pretty cool. And here's Henry Ford with his famous invention, the Model T. And there they are making these Model T Ford cars. And here they are working on the assembly line. You just put one piece on and you push the machine down. That's the assembly line works. Okay, and then the last major invention of the Industrial Revolution was Orville and Wilbur Wright. They invented the airplane in 1903 in North Carolina. And once people figure out how to fly, the whole world's open to us from here. And the big idea that really helped the Wright brothers out was they had a curve under the wing. And because they designed the wing in this kind of angled way, they were able to have a sense of lift from the air, and they could fly all over the world. So pretty cool stuff. Good job, Wright brothers. All right, that's it for me. Peace out.